We live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. We are Facing Gays, I think. And today
Not I think.
we are going to talk about Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. And we have a guest today, and Trey is not here yet, but hopefully he will join us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. As
Nice.
you know, three of us already, but Adri, would you like to quickly introduce yourself as
Sure.
you've not been on one of our streams before?
I know. So, for anyone watching who doesn't know me, my name is Adri. My channel is Perpetual Pages. I'm a queer, trans, non-binary, Mexican-American book reviewer, and I've been on BookTube for 7 years this month, actually. So that's wild to think about. You may have heard me talking about Cemetery Boys at some point on my channel. So like resident expert for Cemetery Boys, local BookTube consultant for Cemetery Boys. I've been called the Cemetery Boys PhD candidate, soft Cemetery Boys extraordinaire. So I am the most qualified person to talk about Cemetery Boys. So thank you very much for having me, because I love talking about Cemetery Boys.
Yeah. I swear, every time I see any event with this book, I just like, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah.
That's my goal. That's my goal, is that anybody on this earth, like, they pick up this book and they're like, this is Adri's book. So that's like, I want everyone to know.
Right. So should we do as we do and start with sort of non-spoilery thoughts? Everyone's thoughts. And as it's your channel, Sandra, do you want to start?
Oh shit, do I? So, I read this book a month ago, and I realized that I have forgotten a lot. So, like, bear with me. I am hoping Audrey will just, like, give me everything that I have forgotten, because they have probably read it 100 times, maybe. But yeah. So I really liked it initially. I think that the story is really, really fun and just setting up a really great story. I had some small, like, story-wise issue with it, but, like, overall, I just liked the whole concept. I liked all the characters especially. And, of course, the setting and the gayness and ghosts and all that. It's super fun. So, yeah, that was really short. But, yeah, I think I gave it, like, 4.25 stars to be very specific, but, like, I feel like I couldn't give it 5, but I feel like it could be close, and maybe I will change my mind as we go. I keep changing my mind every time we do these live shows, so I'm just like, what do I even think about books? I do not know.
Yeah, no, I was very similar. I think I'm giving it like a 4.5 star, but that is on me more than the book, because I read it in a week where I was so busy and so stressed. So I read like in 5-page increments, which is not the way to enjoy a book. And so I just never got like fully invested in it, but that's just on the time when I read it. But I loved it. It's just the characters for me. Julian has my whole heart. I just want to wrap that boy in cotton wool and give him a hug. I love him so much. And all of them are just so amazing. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the plot. But as I said, the characters were the ultimate thing for me that just really made me absolutely fall in love with this book.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. For me, I really, really loved it. For a while, I don't know why this was the first book I like read physically and audiobook in like a long time, because I can't do physically at the moment for some bizarre reason, unless it's a manga. But I really enjoyed it. And then for some part at the end, I fell asleep. Not because of the book, not because of the book, but because I was sleep deprived. So I finished it, but I legit don't remember the end.
Oh,
nice.
I fell asleep, and then I was like, what point did I leave off at? And then I read the last like 10 pages. And I was like, yeah. So I need to go back and like reread at least the last like fourth. So like to make sure I full on like remember like everything. But I really loved it. And once I do that, I'll probably give it a 5-star. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else is left for me to say that I haven't said about Cemetery Boys before. 5-star book for me, obviously, because as a queer, trans, non-binary Latinx person, it is very close to my own experience to see a lot of myself in Yadriel. I think Aiden did such a wonderful, nuanced job of really exploring queerness and transness without making it the center of the story. And I just was like invested from like the very first page. It starts off very quickly where they're like in the cemetery, things are happening. And so I like that there's it's an actionable story. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's just like there's adventure to it. So it's not just like we're wallowing in our feelings, you know, we're like despairing, we're suffering over like our queerness or our transness. It's like that is part of him, and that's like a very like trackable thing throughout the book, but there's much bigger things happening, and there's mystery, there's humor, there's romance, so there's all those different things. So there's something for you to latch on to at some point in the story, whether like you directly relate to Adriel or not. So yeah, I love it. Obviously, it's meant a lot to me. It's changed my life. It's done a lot of great things for me. So 5 stars. And you know, this is one of those books where it's like I don't really take anyone else's review who is not an Own Voices reviewer very seriously, because it's like this was clearly not written for you. So like your opinion does not really matter to me. And like objectively, like as a writer, I know there are some things structurally that maybe it is not like a perfect book, but like I think it's bigger than that. So that's why I again, very take everyone's reviews with a grain of salt, unless I know where they're coming from.
Yeah,
you know?
I completely agree with that. And also a structural thing, yes, you may be able to give it like a technical critique, but that doesn't take away from the impact it has and the importance that a book has. And quite frankly, especially with a book like this, that's kind of what matters. And that's the people it's going to matter to. So yeah, I agree with that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very true.
I don't really know where to start, obviously, without spoiling it.
I'm just like, whoa, what do we say?
It's difficult to discuss, and we're all just like, yeah, it's amazing, we love it.
Yeah, I feel like this is the first book we're all objectively like had the exact same opinion on like a book, because I feel like other books we either had people who were like loved it or were like thought everything was like or something. This is the book we're all like a ride or die, stand, objectively amazing, like, you know. So
it's like also really hard to talk about actually a book you really like compared to a book you didn't like, because I feel it's much harder to critique than to just be like, I loved it. Like what more could you say, kind of?
Exactly.
But we will figure something out. I think we can talk about fun things.
Okay, one fun thing starting with, who is everyone's favorite character?
Ooh,
I feel like I need to know. I've already expressed my like absolute obsession with Julian. I relate to Julian so much, and I just love him so much.
Julian's definitely up there. I want to hear all your answers.
I really like everyone. I really like Maritza.
I just knew that was what you were gonna say.
I feel like we're similar in a lot of ways. So when it makes sense, like me, like hello, hi, how's it going? Like I love her so much.
I can't decide. Like I really love Julian, but I also loved Adriel, but I also loved Maritza. So I'm just I can't decide. I just think like them as a trio is my favorite character. Like, you can't make me choose. Like I think like they all just like fill each other so perfectly, but also were
they do
great on their own. So like I can't choose. Maybe the dogs. She had dogs, right? She bought like big dogs. Yeah. Oh that was so precious. I was just like to protect. When they said they were going to take the boys, I was just like, does he have siblings? It's like, are they going to take out like kids? But then no, it was dogs.
I saw that and I wondered, but my brain was just like, dogs, come on, please be dogs, please be dogs. And then it was like these huge fearsome dogs that were just absolute mushes, and I was like, I'm so happy. Any dogs, I'm there. I'm absolutely there.
Yeah, and Picasso is definitely an MVP as well, I have to say. One of the unsung heroes, she's not my favorite character, but I think she's really cool, is Adriel's mom. I was like, damn, real fucking MVP.
Yes.
Like absolute ride or die, like #1 mom in the universe for sure. So she doesn't get enough love. So Camila is, I think that's her name, Camila is a wonderful, wonderful mom. I mean, my favorite character is Adriel because I am Adriel. So, not even joking, like dance, like the hoodie culture is trans culture. Like we use the same brand of pomade, Suavecito. I wish I brought some with me to prove my point, but I really do use that. And yeah, like we dress the same, we feel the same. We're anxious little beings. We're little perfectionists. We're type 1s. Like, I don't know, like, we're the same person. Like we're literally the same person. So he's mine.
Yeah, I find it really strange because in terms of like just personality, I feel like I'm very similar to Julian in terms of sort of just, I mean, mild ADHD, completely scatterbrained and all of that. And I was just like, this is very relatable. But at the exact same time, I feel like my conscience is Yadriel, of like, stop doing that thing. And I was just like, I feel like I'm Julian, but with Yadriel's filter, like trying to stop me.
I feel
it's this weird combination.
I feel like I'm a Julian after you get to know me. Like that's my inner. Like that's like if we're like in a group chat, I'm like agent of chaos in the group chat. Me, but yeah, I am very much a Yadriel. Like, I don't think it's a spoiler, so I'll just say like in the beginning, like when Julian's like, oh, take me to school with you or whatever, and all that crap. Or no, like where like they whatever. I'm so tired. It's so early in the morning. And like the point is like he's got Julian. He's trying to figure out, you know, what's happening with Julian and what's happening with Miguel. But it's like that should be his number one priority, you think? But Yadriel's like, I gotta get to school. I gotta take my math test. Like
that is me too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sweet. I love Maritza as well, because she was both completely on Julian's side, like not Julian's side, Yadriel's side of you need to like go to school and focus on this, but also just that bit sort of less straight-laced and kind of like, yeah, but this is also kind of fun and interesting. So I'm just gonna not help you out here and let Julian run everything.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Oh,
that's what's great about Maritza. That's why she's like the true ride or die, because like she is so tuned into Yadriel and she knows like when to step in and when to not. And you know, she doesn't need to be told. And there's some really subtle moments. I don't want to get too deep into it because again, we're not in the spoiler section, but there are some really subtle moments where she knows like, okay, this is something you need to do on your own, or this is something you need to be pushed in, and like, or moments where it's like, this is something I need to help him out with. This is where like I need to stand up for him and I need to step in. So she is a really, really amazing friend. That cannot be overstated.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So for sorry.
No.
I was just gonna say for the overall themes of the book, we have like death, but we also have very prompt on life, and I really like the balance the author did of like the two of them, just like living, but also being dead, kind of. And I just thought that it was just a really good balance of like, I don't know, the whole thing, like the themes and stuff. So yeah. I want to talk about more about that soon in the spoiler section. Yeah.
I was going to say, it reminded me as well, though. I remember, I think I like maybe tweeted about this because I found it or said it in a different video. It's really interesting. Where right before this, I read another book, which is following basically a group of ghosts, and I found the whole way through that book I wasn't invested because I was kind of like, you're already dead. Like I don't. They kept being really fretful about like dying, and I'm like, I think you've missed something here. Whereas the whole way through this, I was like, yes, he's dead, but I want to protect him with my life. And I don't know how those two books were done differently. I don't know whether it's just because it was a more interesting character in Julian, but I just like having just had a book with a very similar premise, which didn't invest me for exactly that reason. I was so impressed by this in the way that I was like, yes, the stakes are your life, but I still care so much that you keep getting to live your ghost life.
Yes.
True.
Yes.
Which I found interesting.
Yeah. And not to get like too philosophical, too deep, but it's like, I mean, that I feel like that also relates to like having dignity in death, right? Which is a big issue in Latinx communities. I don't want to like speak to that because I don't want to get anything wrong, but yeah, you know, like maintaining your dignity in your death, you know, having the respect that you deserve, or honoring your life the way it deserves to be honored, that maybe Julian didn't get a chance to do before the story started. So I think that also plays an important part in it.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh my god, your cup is enormous.
I know, thank you.
Like literally huge.
So I chose the big one on purpose.
I'm trying to think. Just, I guess, what you're saying about like obviously Maritza being a really amazing friend, I'd really like to touch on Julian's friend group and the solidarity in that friend group and the way they would just all absolutely go out for one another. I just loved so much, and the way that each of them did that in such a different way. Yes. So I can't remember all their names now, but sort of the scary leader of the friend group versus Luca. So both trying to support, you know, Julian, but the polar totally opposite ways.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting.
Definitely.
That's true.
What was that guy's name?
I'm so tired.
I don't remember.
I feel like I know, but I don't.
Everyone in the comments were talking about Luca, and I was just like, who is that?
Yes,
who is that? But then I realized
Luca for sure.
I think it's Omar, maybe.
Omar, that sounds right. Yes, Omar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just happened to have my bookmark on that page. Sheer luck.
Yeah.
But no, they were so interesting. And then you see Rio, his brother.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just again, such a different kind of relationship, but and the way he defended all of Julian's friends and just basically half adopted them and just I just love all the characters. They're all so great.
Yeah, I like that as well. And then even in like the way like we're told that Rio is like super kind to all of Julian's friends and like you said, sort of like takes them in and helps them out when they need help. But like but when Gabriel meets him, he's very like defensive and he's very like, who are you? What do you want? Like, what are you doing here? Like kind of like shut down emotionally, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's interesting to see all the different dynamics in the found family. I like that found family is a prominent feature in the story because obviously it's so important to queer people and to Latinx people and queer Latinx people. So yeah, I like that. And I like all the nuances of the different relationship dynamics, kind of like you were saying, where it's like they all sort of rally around the same person or have the same goals or feelings or values, but they go about it in such a different way. So it's like no two people are doing the same thing. And so both Julian and Yadiel are having to navigate all these different people who care about them, but are at like different levels of caring throughout their life and like who show it in very, very, very different ways. So that was true to life, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
I just wanted to add that for the people watching, there's a giveaway for people here and who have read the book. So the giveaway form is in the description. So please enter.
The question is spoilery. Do not go on it if you've not read the book. It's kind of to prove you've read the book, but it is a spoiler. So please do not go on that if you've not read it.
But it says the page not found when I try to enter the link.
Oh, I'll send you it on Discord so you can re-upload it because it's silly, apparently.
I was just joking. Apparently it's not in the description, just like never mind what I just said.
Oh, that's fine. Good.
Good old
I have a posted chat.
That's good.
So, yeah.
Okay, random funny story about this book. At the beginning, when I started reading this book, I had just came from the supermarket, and I usually shop at like a local like Mexican grocery store, and I got a concha, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna start reading and eating this. And then at some point, they were talking about conchas, and I was like, how did y'all know? Like, how did y'all know I was eating it at the same time? It was just a random thing I just remembered for some reason.
I absolutely love coincidences like that. It's always so satisfying.
I was like, what are the odds?
I will just say, obviously, being in a completely different culture in every possible way, I found it just fascinating reading and learning so much about Latinx culture. I just even things like Dios, I'm gonna kill pronunciation and it hurts my soul. Dia de Muertos and just the food and everything, and like you said, sort of the way that it's like death of dignity and all of that, I just found absolutely fascinating to read and learn more about. And yeah, I don't really have a point. I just really liked it.
Yeah, and to go back to what Sandra was saying about how the story deals with like life and death, I thought it was like such a perfect sort of like exploration of what Dia de Muertos is, because it's like we were all saying, it is about death, which seems morbid and it seems sad. And obviously it is. Like loss is a very sad, very real, very heavy thing. But it's like for us, there's also the celebration. There's also, like I said, the dignity. There's also the remembrance of it, the deliberateness of like honoring your ancestors in very specific ways and like specifically calling them back to you. So it's like, I like that the story hits that perfect balance of, yes, there is death. Yes, there is sadness, but there is also life. There is also joy. There is also, good things that you can take from the people who have left you behind, basically. So I thought that was just it's just like a perfect little glimpse of what the holiday truly is in the magic system.
Yeah, because I feel like even more than a lot of other holidays, that is definitely one that, at least in England, you literally the only thing you ever see is sugar skulls. No one ever knows anything past that. That is it, and it's just a symbol, and you know absolutely nothing. And it was really interesting, obviously, getting to know a lot more, and I'm definitely going to be looking into it more just out of curiosity. And it changed your perspective on what it actually means, instead of just, holiday, and especially like in the UK, so many people celebrate any holiday, be it cultural or religious, just as a holiday. Like Christmas, for example, is for 90% of our population nothing to do with what it actually is.
Oh yeah.
And so I feel like they lose that respect for a lot of other cultures' holidays. So it was interesting kind of seeing it from that perspective.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. I have like a little bit of, I guess, experience with Dia de los Muertos, mainly because I used to live in LA. I used to not specifically live in East LA, but my ex used to live in East LA, and I would go over there a lot of the times. And he would like show me a lot of like his culture and talk to me about it. So I got like a secondhand, like from a primary source about everything. So it was really nice to actually like see it in a book and read about it and know a little bit more about the stuff that I didn't know about. And I just thought it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Do we want to go into spoilers now?
Yeah, I was gonna say I feel like 20 minutes. Spoilers. So for anyone who's not read it or / doesn't want to get spoiled, I would suggest leaving.
If you want to get spoiled, you can stay. So like we're not stopping you.
Completely up to you. But we that is your warning. We cannot be blamed at this point.
I feel like the introduction to the magic system, it's not really a spoiler. This is like on the first page, just like how they all feel each other, and when someone dies they feel it. I just thought that was like bam introduction. I was just like holy shit, what's going on? I thought that was so cool, and just like how they all then feel so close to each other as a family. It just really warmed my heart, and I was just like, this is kind of really awesome. And it's kind of a low-key magic system because we feel really like centered in our world. It's not like high fantasy different kind of world, but I like again like the balance that the author managed to do, like our world but also still magic and ghosts, and then taking in like actual culture in and making it kind of real, like the magic that they believe in. And I just like that was what I was it was not really a spoiler, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that links in well though with like learning about the Latinx culture, and is that everything was just weaved in so carefully and introduced completely naturally. There was never an info dump in the whole book. It all just kind of permeated into your mind as you read it and just made everything, it gave context to everything and made everything made sense. And it was just really nice how that just kind of just was littered throughout the book really, really carefully.
And I also like appreciate the nuance of like having Julian be someone who is Latinx, who is Colombian, but he does not have a familiarity necessarily with Dia de Muertos or Brujex, obviously, because the Brujex community is secret, but obviously he doesn't have any context about Brujex culture, any of that. So like he has a connection and he knows what Dia de Muertos is, but like having him there with Yadriel also kind of gave an organic reason for Yadriel to be explaining, okay, like this is what we believe, this is how it works, this is some of the things we use, and these are like the little rituals that we do. So I thought that was smart to have him like have there be a reason, like someone who needed it to be explained to, ingrained in the story so that it feels more organic and it feels more real. And also that, like I said, that nuance of they're both Latinx, but there are two different kinds of Latinx. So like I said, Julian is Colombian and Yadriel is Cubano and Mexican. So they're not the same. They're not one-to-one. And even though we use Latinx as a blanket term, that doesn't mean they are the same people. That doesn't mean they are the same thing. That doesn't mean they believe the same thing or even practice the same thing. And even the way different Latinx cultures celebrate Dia de Muertos is so vastly different. So yeah, so I like that nuance of it's like, I am Latinx just like Yadriel, but like I, Julian, don't know everything there is to know about Dia de Muertos.
So basically what you're saying is that the author is brilliant and managed to do all this in a debut, and how I just I literally don't know how they like manage to like balance all this and then make it such a fun story. Like my brain cells is like, I would just be like, no, I can't express it even. Like, I know. I'm very excited for their next book too, and like definitely will read it. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the way that we talk about the book, they're like, yeah, there's like all this stuff in it, and then if you never have like read the book, you're probably like, oh wow, this is probably very heavy or like very dark or very like this, and then you actually read it, you're like, wait, What?
90% of it is just Julian annoying him. Like,
Yeah.
just somehow.
Those were the
It's
best
true.
parts.
Yeah.
Just like when Julian was annoying, I wanted to hug. Yeah.
No,
So,
it was so expertly done. Yeah, I agree with Sandra. Just mind blown at how you can get so much in, and kind of almost like a bit of both a sneak attack of like you don't feel like you're being told loads of stuff, but also if you're like looking for it and appreciating it, you can really like appreciate how much is put in there. But yeah, it doesn't, obviously it wouldn't, but it doesn't like take away from the story, or like you don't end up with pages of info dump like a lot of fantasy or other novels do. It's just so cleverly weaved in.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this? Is kind of spoiler. How sad it was. I got really sad how Julian didn't care at all that he was dead. Just like because he felt like he did care, of course. I'm not saying because he did say like I'm not lived anymore, but he was very like chill about it. I would not be as chill as he was, and I just feel like also how kind of no one noticed he was gone, and how that says a lot about like the world, like that no one cared he was gone almost. Like not even his brother. He was just like, oh, but he ran away, and like even though we cared for him, and I just felt like that was just so heartbreaking, and it just made me really sad on Julian's behalf. Like not even like the school, for example, cared at all.
Yes.
So
That clearly shows a lot how the society cares about young brown boys. Like they don't care. Yeah. And I thought that was also a good thing. Like that was also a little thing that the author put in. Out again, mind blown.
Yeah, especially as well the way Julian addressed it and went right at the beginning, his sort of inevitability surrounding it, and he sort of went, oh, I never thought I'd make it that far, maybe a bit further than this, but I saw it coming. And it's just like that in itself is just heartbreaking, that's a thought that people have to have and do have regularly.
That's what I was going to say. I think it perfectly speaks to how queer Latinx people, or people of any marginalization really, especially when they're underprivileged marginalizations, have already like it. What it means to be that is that you basically accept your own death before it happens, or like you accept your own pain or your own suffering before it happens. So like that's how it hit me. It was like kind of like he said later in the book, like I already saw myself like, making it maybe to 30, so like what's it to me?
Yeah, like I really related to him on that, because that was always how I was as a teenager. I'm like, I'm not going to make it to 20. It's not going to happen. And now I'm 22. So, hey, but but yeah, I like, and so his outlet, his outlook on life and his death, I was like, wow, I still relate. Like, I understand. Like if it happens, it happens. And that's okay. And I think that was really like interesting to see, and I really like seeing it actually like again in a book, because I feel like I don't see that perspective a lot of times in the book.
Yeah, and I think part of it as well, again, not to like get too philosophical or too deep, is because like queer futurism is so hard to imagine. Like we don't know what our own future looks like because we don't see it as often, publicly or like in the media. So it's like we don't even know what it looks like for other people, much less for ourselves. So it's like, trying to imagine what you're going to be like when you're 40, when you're 50, especially when you're a queer, brown, Latinx person living in, East LA. It's like, what does that look like? What does that mean? I don't know. So like I said, that's part of like, accepting your own demise before it even happens, just because you don't have any other examples. You don't know what it looks like or what it could mean for yourself.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's just heartbreaking, but also like many things in this book, I love that Aiden brought so much of that reality into it and doesn't skirt over things like that, doesn't bring, as you said, when you hear about everything in it, you'd think it'd be such a heavy book, but he managed to keep both this light tone and really delve into things like that, even if just in like a passing comment that make anyone who reads it go and like think about that and realize that sort of reality for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I think also part of like what makes it not feel heavy-handed or not feel like overtly dark is because Aiden sort of structured it in a way that subtly mirrors and sort of transmits queer pain and queer trauma without explicitly going there. Like specifically, I'm thinking about like how the structure of the story is like, for every good thing that happens, a bad thing happens. And a very clear example of that, because we're in the spoiler section, so I'm just gonna fucking say it, is when when Julian and Yadriel are in his bed, and like Julian's like, you think if I concentrated really hard, I could touch you? So like they're having that like sort of Casper moment where it's like, they're touching each other, and it's like, oh, are they gonna kiss? So it's like you're feeling all this elation, like, oh my God, they're connecting in this new way. And then right second after that, Julian starts like reliving his death and like, flicking in and out of existence. And it's like, oh fuck, right? So it's like there's a lot of moments like that. That's one of the more overt ones, but there's a lot of moments like that, subtly and overt throughout the story, where it's like a good thing happens and then a bad thing happens. And that's such an apt reflection of what it means to be queer and what it means to be trans specifically, especially when we're talking about like transition for trans people. It's like for every step you gain, you take some steps back, or something happens that makes you doubt yourself. So that it's like, it's not an overt thing, so it doesn't feel heavy-handed. It doesn't make you feel like you're despairing, but it echoes that in such a clear and nuanced way that I think queer readers especially will pick up on. So that's, I think, also part of what makes it so balanced and so successful, in the way it does that.
Yeah. And I think, again, just speaking to sort of his expertise in that he can do that without making it feel like an emotional roller coaster, in the sense of a lot of books where you feel like they're literally only bringing you up to drag you back down just to like create emotions for the sake of it. It's much more of a just, as you said, like, this is the reality, but it's so not subtly done. As you said, there are some overt moments, and it does hit you in much more than a subtle way, but it's just natural. It's how life is, instead of like creating emotion for the sake of making your readers cry so they'll go on Twitter and say they cried at your book.
True.
Yes. Very true.
I'm trying to think what else to say. It's just so good. It's so clever.
Yeah.
So I do like the little things that they put in, or that the author put into the book, talking like just about like the little things, how it is just to be trans. And of course, I don't know how it is to be trans, but just like, I feel like those little things like helped me, I guess, understand little things, where it's like, I remember this part of the beginning of the book where Yadriel was like running and was like, yeah, it's kind of hard to run with my binder on. I'm like, is it hard to run with? Like, I didn't understand, like, because of course I've never worn a binder, so I wouldn't understand like how it is, and like that it's hard to run and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, little things like that just made it just made the book so much better,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a comment from Ash Baker saying that the representation of how like the family accepted him, but also kept like, what's it saying, like invalidate him, because like they kept misgendering or using his dead name and all that. So like the whole like accepting from his family, and then accepting himself, like with the whole, that was the whole plot of the whole book, wanting what's it called, like his own ritual, and they thinking that he couldn't have it, and then just like when he came to that point, realizing like what was he trying to prove. Like I had tears in my eyes because it was so beautiful, like him realizing like why was he doing all this, and Julian trying to tell him, or like supporting him and all that. So I think that was like one of the biggest highs of the book.
Yeah.
I explained that really badly.
I also really love that, like, you kind of go into the book thinking like, okay, acceptance is going to be the climax of the story, right? And like, when the story is at its height, Yadriel's family is going to realize, working towards. But I really love that for Yadriel's father, Enrique, like that moment comes like much earlier in the book than you expect it to. It's kind of like in the middle, where it's like he realizes that Yadriel has gone through with the ritual and that it's worked. So that I appreciate that. That was really interesting. That like I said, you think it's building to that moment, but it comes much earlier. So it's like you don't have to wait for that, the gratification of that. And so it's like, it's just part of the story. It's not like the end goal. So I think that is also pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think as well, off Sandra, what Sandra was saying, I found it really interesting when Julian sort of asked that question, like, who are you trying to prove this to? it just showed an innate difference in the way different people deal with and come to terms with their queerness. In that some people, like Julian, are quite happy to just kind of be, I can't think of a better word, almost hard-headed about it, of this is me, take it or leave it, that's your problem. Whereas some people, just everyone deals with it differently, and that there is no right or wrong way in how you want to be accepted, how you want other people to respond to it, and it's such a personal journey. And I liked that two completely different perspectives were shown in that, and that also you can sometimes learn something from someone else's approach to it, and that it may even make you reevaluate the way you think about things, because maybe you just haven't thought about it, or maybe it's just your opinion on the matter, and it's just really interesting.
Sure.
You just all nodding.
I missed some of that internet, but I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So the uncle, can we talk about him? Or is that like
that broke my
spoilery?
heart so much.
Because
No, we're in it.
It made me so sad that like he was supposedly like the only person like at first that accepted Adriel, and then he was like evil, and it made me so sad that he had to be the one. It also made me a bit frustrated. Like that was probably like the most I was frustrated with the book, was that he had to be the evil one, because I just wanted him to not be the evil one. Like I had a feeling really early, and I was like, please. But like, yeah, he let us all down. That's all I gotta say. He let us all down. And so yeah.
But once that completely blindsided me. I normally kind of guess things like that, but I was just, when they discovered it, I was like, literally my first thought was like, you bitch, like I was rooting for you. Like I was on your side, how dare you.
I feel like that
the Adriel as well. Ugh.
Yeah, I felt like that one scene in Star Wars with like Obi-Wan yelling at Anakin like, you were my brother. Me and him, I was just like, no. You were chosen one, like.
Yeah.
So.
But even like though it was an emotional blow and it was so disappointing, it was also still so delicious, especially because of like the emotional parallels between them, because Catrice and Yadriel are so similar to each other in that they're like outcasts, and they've both been written off by their own community, and they both kind of don't feel at home in their own community. So there's a lot of similar things happening with them. And so it's like they're almost the same person, but they take such different paths to get to where they want to get to. So I think that is also part of what makes it such a gut punch and so really powerful, because like Catrice's point of view is like, well, I'm just going to cut out everyone who's hurt me, and I'm going to punish them, and I'm going to be vindictive. I'm going to get my revenge on these people who haven't done right by me. Whereas Yadriel is like, I want to like make space for myself and for other people like me in the future. So Catrice is more like a subtractive mindset is what I call it. And Yadriel is more of an additive mindset. So I like that their journeys parallel each other, and that, they mirror each other in very, very different ways.
Yeah, and I think, that comes down to what we've said, like so many different things in terms of how you interact with your culture and how you interact with your queerness and how you interact with something like this. I feel like just a theme throughout the whole book is that irrelevant of how similar a story you may have had to someone, no two people are the same, no two people's interaction with their culture are the same, no two people's interaction with their queerness are the same, like, which I feel like is a thing that almost bears repeating, because so many people who are outside of any community try and lump it together into this one entity of you are the queer community, and it's like it's really not that simple. So it was really nice just having it laid out in a subtle way of, it doesn't matter how similar an exact path you may have had, it doesn't mean you're going to respond in the same way and be affected the same way. And yeah,
it's true. And like that's like one of the things, again, like I take everyone's reviews with a grain of salt, but like I always hear people being like, I saw the twist coming, like I predicted it. And it's like, okay, but the question was never really like who did it. The question was, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to save Julian? How are you going to save or get justice for Miguel? How are you going to save the people who have gone missing? So for me, it's like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, maybe it's not that hard to figure out who it is, especially when you reread it. There's a lot of like unsubtle sort of Easter eggs pointing towards it. But it's like, to me, that was never the point of like who did. It was like, what are you going to do about it? Like I said, and like I was saying earlier, it is powerful. I think that Yadriel chooses joy, and Yadriel chooses to save other people, and Yadriel chooses to like believe in his own community and help his own community, even though maybe his community hasn't always loved him back. So I think that's where the interesting part comes from. That's what makes it so powerful. So like, again, when I hear people being like, I knew what was going to happen, so 3.5 stars, I'm like, I really don't give a fuck.
I'm gonna try to say that now I felt like that was me.
Call out. That's for you, Sandra.
I'm just gonna leave now.
Leave your own life.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for having me, guys. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, I don't know if I'm going to put this into words well, but I think it's interesting as well. And I may be completely misinterpreting this, but I think it's another thing Aiden did extremely cleverly, in that I feel like for people outside of the community, it could be too easy to see Yadriel, who, as you said, is trying to make his community better and do the good thing, and them to go, well, why doesn't everyone respond this way? That's the mature way to handle it, or something like that. So by showing the contrast that it's not easy, he is not taking the easy option. He is putting a huge amount on the line to handle it the way that he believes is the right way to handle it. But showing that opposition into your characters will hopefully stop people in their tracks if they try and say like, well, everyone should respond this way. That's the good way to respond, because it's not a reality for everyone. And it's brilliant that Yadriel can respond that way, but
yes,
that can't be the case for everyone.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's kind of like the point of the whole book, right? Is to like show the tumultuous journey, the ups and downs, all the different things he has to take into consideration. Because he could very easily, like I said, different time, different place, he could have been another Tia Catrice, but like he obviously was not.
Yeah.
I just remembered when you said earlier about like healing or something. I just remembered that Marcia didn't want to use her powers, and then she did in the end, and it made me scream. And I just remembered it just now, and it was such a good moment. Yeah.
Just a plot point question about that, because I feel like I read it wrong, because obviously she refused throughout because of being vegan and not using blood. Did she use Yadriel's blood? Is that what we're meant to take from it? Because he was like lying in a pool.
That's what that was the only blood available.
Yeah, that's how I read it, but I wasn't sure if it was meant to be like she'd just magically done it without any blood, or if she just used Yad's. And I was like, I kind of love that she just.
I think there's a lot of blood on the floor at that point. I think she just.
She was like, well, might as well.
Yeah, it's all there.
That was an emotional roller coaster, because we all thought that Julian died, and then Yadriel had to sacrifice himself so that they wouldn't die, but then he didn't die because she saved him, and I was just like, I can't deal with this stress. Just like, stop dying, and
literally
just be
reading
alive.
that, I was just like, this feels like Romeo and Juliet, like kill them, oh they're okay, kill them instead. Oh no, going back, and I was just like, okay, who is surviving? Like my heart can't take it.
Yeah,
I loved as well Julian's absolute ferocious protection of Yadriel. When the family came in, I was just like, both yes, go you, and also you're fine, everything's fine, you're good, like please.
That chapter is it's delicious to me, because it is, to me, it's, and this is just because like I know Aiden and like we talk, and so I know the Song of Achilles is one of their favorite books. It's one of my favorite books in the world. That to me is such a blatant and like loving homage to the Song of Achilles. I don't know how much like y'all know about like Greek mythology.
I read it, and it's one of my faves. Don't talk about me.
So it's very much that like after. I guess we're just here to spoil everything. I'm just gonna fucking say it. Whatever. It's Greek mythology. It's been around for thousands of years. When Patroclus dies, and Achilles is like adamant about protecting his body and like not letting anybody go near it and all that stuff. So, and the rage, obviously the rage he feels in that moment. So that was like such a pointed homage I felt to the Song of Achilles, and I love that Julian's like, I'm going to protect this boy the way he has protected me all these past days. And it's just like,
why are you bringing this up? Are you just like trying to make me leave? I don't understand what I have done.
Oh, like you want to cry about Cemetery Boys? I got you.
I don't want to.
Let me help you.
I feel like
But
one
yeah.
thing we didn't see, which I would freaking love, just like a short story of, is I want to see Julian introduce Yadriel to his friend group.
Oh my
Like, can we please
God,
see
really?
that happen? Because I need
Where
it.
like it's not super weird because Julian is there and no one can see him.
Yeah, I'm like, I need
Yeah.
this in my life. I need to see Julian just like barrel in, completely blasé, completely just forgetting the fact that Yadriel is terrified of Omar. It's like, oh, it's all good, they're all friendly, and just try
This
and
is
work
my
that
boyfriend
dynamic out.
idea.
Yeah, I need
feel like
this
it'd be so
novella.
cute.
I need this novella.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I feel like we need a bonus chapter.
Wait, you just said you know Aiden. Sequel?
Yeah.
Question mark.
I mean, well, there's nothing official, but he's said numerous times that like he cannot see himself not writing again in the Cemetery Boys world. And if you listen to the audiobook, there's an interview with Avi Roque at the end of the audiobook in which they very heavy-handedly sort of allude to there possibly being more stuff in the Cemetery Boys verse. So
Seems
I'm
like
already calling it. There's a sequel. I already have a theory about like what's it about. I ain't gonna say it. But
why not? We want to know.
no, because I'm like telling a select few, and then if it's right, I'm gonna be vindicated, and that's it.
I knew about this from the
Yeah,
beginning.
Don't
Okay,
even
so
touch
then
me.
we do a live show for the sequel, and then you have to come again, and then you have to tell us.
I'll write down my prediction now and open it.
Okay, it's a deal.
Yeah.
But I think that's another thing actually I found really interesting. I watched an event with Adam Silvera and Aiden Thomas they did, and one of the questions was, would you write a story from Maritza's point of view? And I found it really interesting that Aiden Thomas basically said, I would love a story to be written, but I would not feel comfortable writing it. I would love to hand that to a Latinx woman to write that story. And I just found that really interesting because I feel like that's where a lot of authors overstep, is that if a book goes down well, they will then be like, oh, I'll just write in a different character, and not realize that actually they're kind of doing a disservice to that character in that. So I really love that. Obviously, I don't know if he can license it for someone else to write it, but I at least loved the way he handled that response of, I would love there to be a story, but I can also acknowledge, be it my world and my characters, that it's not my place to write that story.
Yes. And not to turn this into like an Aiden Stan live stream, but like
it is an Aiden Stan live stream.
I don't know if anyone saw the Barnes and Noble book club live show that they did with Lee Bardugo, but that happened I think last week, and someone in the chat asked like, what are your characters like Hogwarts houses or whatever? And Lee Bardugo asked that question from the chat to Aiden, and Aiden was like, actually, I'm not going to answer that because I don't support, that author, and I don't support that series, and I don't support anything related to that, and I don't want that in conversation with my characters. And I was like, it's really that fucking easy, isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
There you go.
It really is.
So
I mean, like every time I read a book now, and like Harry Potter, anything like Dark Dimension, I like cringe because I'm like, get it away from me, because it's like in every single book is like mentioned, and I'm just like, please leave me alone.
There's so many books that I've read in the last few months, which have clearly been written before it all really kicked off and became like publicly known, but they've just come out, and I'm like, I know you didn't know, but it's just great.
And they're the most random books. Like, I was listening to a nonfiction audiobook about white supremacy, and there was a Harry Potter. I was like, what? How did we get here?
Yeah.
It's terrifying how much it's just permeated the world. I think it's known as like the most worldwidely known brand.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Which just, ew. There's no.
Why? It's our fault. A reader supported it too much. Let's stand Cemetery Boys instead. Let's make that the most world
Cemetery Boys for clear skin.
What is your Hogwarts house? Cemetery Boys. That is the new answer.
That's the message I can get behind.
I don't even know what else to talk about. And I was so good.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Julian being fiercely protective, but then you brought it up, so I'm just now I'm empty now.
I feel like there was more I was going to say about Tia Catrice, probably. I just like him. I think he's a really interesting villain. I also like, I keep saying this word, but I'm just going to keep invoking it. But like the nuance of him like being so loving and so supportive, but then being the same person who's like hurting Yadriel and hurting the community. I think that's really interesting. And I've reread this book like many times. So the more you reread it, the more you pick up on that. And it's like, there's also a subtle thing, I think, Yadriel's Lita is the one who says this sometimes when she's talking about the Balam backstory and all that like anyone who uses the skull is slowly corrupted over time. And so I think that's interesting because you can't fully write off Theo Catrice, especially when you're rereading the book, because I think his heart is slowly being corrupted over the course of the story. So there's still parts of him that come through, like he still is loving, he still is supportive, like that's not fake. I think that's not it's not inauthentic. It is truly how he feels, and he does things throughout the book that are supportive of Yadriel, even when like he's already in the midst of this ritual, like that, for example, that part in the middle where Yadriel has his fucking portaje just out in the middle of the house, and like his family comes back and he's like, oh shit, I'm about to get caught, and his Theo like has a bunch of like rocks or whatever, or he's holding something and he drops it to create the distraction so that Yadriel can be like safe and get away and like not out himself. Like you have to remember, like he was in the middle of the fucking ritual at that point. He already had the 4 bodies like underneath the church, you know. So, and he still did that for Yadriel, so he still loves him and he's still a very like supportive person. So that's also part of what makes him an interesting villain, is that he's not just evil through and through. He's slowly being corrupted over the course of the story, both by circumstance and by like the evil magic of the skull. And I think that's very clear.
And I think that's shown even more so that he's not evil through and through, because even when he's like, you know, we're right at the end, he's being confronted by Yadriel. He offers Yadriel to join him, and he's not doing that in any malicious way. He genuinely believes that is the way to help Yadriel. He still in his head is looking out for him.
Yes.
And yes, it might be a very questionable solution, but it shows that however awfully he's acting, and as you said, probably been corrupted by so many things, he still wants to defend Yadriel. He still wants to do what he believes is best for Yadriel. It's just not the right way to go about it.
Yeah. That was definitely one of my favorite parts. I think because that could have been like cliche, like, oh, it's you, you know, like, like it's me, like here's my evil plan, and like you're too late or whatever. But it's like, there is, like you said, that genuine moment where he's like, we could do this together, like, you know, I could bring you in on this. So yeah, he's a really interesting character.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I really need to reread this now. Like,
You do.
I always reread on audio, and you all talked about the audio now, so I'm just like, I will go and get it. Yeah.
Please listen to the audio.
Yeah.
It's one of the few times I'm tempted. I never try audiobooks, but I'm so tempted to just get it and try it. Because especially if it's a reread, I'd probably actually manage to follow it.
I have like 10 Audible credits, so I need to use them. Help me. Yeah.
I had a Libro FM like credit, and I was like, well, this is the time, and I don't regret it. I'm gonna
I don't regret it. Yeah, Video OK absolutely smashes it.
Now I want to know how many times you read it.
Okay. Too many. I think 5 is the official count, but I do that thing where like I flip through it just to read my favorite part. So it's like I probably read it more than that, but like
I used to do that with Twilight. Like years ago, not now, not like I didn't do it now. Like but yeah, so I can relate, like just finding the favorite parts, your favorite dialogues, and just like
but then like you just find yourself like reading it, like
I'm just gonna read this passage. Oops, read 100 pages.
I do that a lot. So yeah, that's the good thing about it. I tell everyone that like this book has such high rereadability, which is not something that every single book has. So yeah, it definitely improves on a reread, and you can reread it so many different ways. So you can either read the physical book or you can reread the audiobook if you've never heard it before. So there's a lot of different ways to engage with it. And so I'm definitely pro rereading Cemetery Boys.
So if I go into your Goodreads, it's just like Cemetery Boys, Cemetery Boys, Cemetery Boys. Yeah.
It's not even a joke. Yeah. I think I did my reading vlog in like March. So I've been on this fucking train. Like I'm conducting the fucking train. So and I think that's also been like one of the most satisfying parts is like before it's released, everyone was like, you never shut up about Cemetery Boys. That's all you talk about. It's like your one personality trait. And now like everybody's reading it and they're like, oh fuck, you were right. And I was like, wow, it's almost like I was trying to tell you something, you know,
Yeah.
like. So I'm very vindicated, and I'm very like petty about it. So I'm happy that everyone's enjoying it.
Like this is one of the rare books that like I've not seen anyone say they didn't like it. I've seen maybe like a couple 3 stars, but like no one was like, yeah, this wasn't a good book.
But
Not
3
even
stars.
when I was scrolling through Goodreads, all I saw, or at least I didn't sort by 1 star. I could have done that, but I but just like generally sorting, I was like 4, 5, 4.
Yeah.
It's very true.
Which is always good.
Yeah. But like 3 stars is not generally like the worst. Like 1 star is like, I
No,
hate it. 3
no.
stars can be like there was just some parts that didn't work for them, and that is okay. Like you're not obligated to like every single part of the book, but like still like averaging on even like 3 stars and above is like everyone generally seems to like it.
Yeah.
So like, what the heck? I don't understand how. I don't understand how you wrote it. I'm just like, yeah.
And I also think it's fair to acknowledge with a book like this that even if you enjoyed it and you don't like love it as first thing, like if you start critiquing it, like Adri was saying earlier, then like take it with a pinch of salt if it's not like on Voices Review and stuff. But it's also fair to acknowledge like it just wasn't a book written for you, and that's fine. Like don't go slamming it, but if you just acknowledge, yeah, it was a 3-star, it wasn't a book written for me, that's actually a good thing to acknowledge, instead of other people who sometimes say like, oh, I didn't enjoy it because of that. And it's like, but it wasn't written.
That's what's so funny. It's like people think they're subversive, being like, did I read the same book as everyone else? Like I'm not seeing what everyone else sees. And it's like, maybe there's a reason you're not seeing what everyone else sees. Like, so, relax.
So yeah, did people enter the giveaway? Are we going to announce a winner now?
Yeah, we've got 5 responses. Should we give 1 minute? If anyone else wants to get a response in, there is a giveaway.
So
link.
I just I can link it again. I don't know if people saw. Where did you give?
Oh yeah.
I was just gonna say that I don't know if we're gonna discuss more, but usually in the end of every live show we talk about one queer book we read recently that we really enjoyed. So like it maybe sprung it a bit on you, but like if you can remember any. Yeah. You don't need to start. You don't need to start.
Sandra, would you like to start since it's your
turn? Oh shit! Wait, I'm doing.
Wait, too much.
I have You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. Oh shit!
Incredible.
So I read this 3 days ago, and it was so good. I cannot deal. So I've forgotten the main character's name because that's how I deal with my life. Liz. And she really wants to go into this musical college and then eventually pre-med, is that what it's called? I don't know what college things are called. Yeah. But then she doesn't get this scholarship. So in her town, there's like this really big deal about becoming the prom queen. And then you get like basically like $10,000 if you win. So she decides to enter the race of becoming a prom queen. Oh my god! And then she just deals with like having to do all this like charity work and talking with people, and among them, one of the friends that she like used to be friends with a few years ago, and they start connecting. She also meets this girl because she's gay, and they get this thing, and it's just so pure and happy, but also with really like serious themes as well, like. Her mom passed away when she was younger. She lives with her grandparents. Her brother has the same
sickle cell disease.
Sickle cell. I don't know how to say it. Yeah. So he also deals with like the pains and stuff of having that. So like there's serious things in it. But they're like it was a beautiful contemporary story. Just like the representation and just how everything was dealt, and like I cried in the end almost because it was so cute. Yeah. So I'm so glad that I read it. So I really recommend this one. It's a contemporary though, not fantasy. So yeah.
We must stand Leah Johnson in this house. Anyone who doesn't, get out because she's where it's at. Super excited about her next book as well.
Same.
Yeah. Right, I have 2 because I'm going to be annoying, and one I've stupidly not got off my shelves. The first is Zenny by Rebecca Weatherspoon, which it's a romance, and oh my god, it's 2 bisexual main characters, 1 male, 1 female in the romance, which I love.
Wait.
We need
what
more.
Did you say the afterwards? Sorry, I just
Rebecca Weatherspoon. I
like
can
the
grab
actress?
It,
no. Wait,
no, this is not Reese Witherspoon.
Sorry, that's why I got so confused.
Lord.
But yeah, it's kind of a fake dating situation. So this woman is suddenly left a huge amount of money by her aunt, but it comes with the proviso that she has to marry this guy that her aunt has picked out to be able to get the money. And so he's like this really Scottish person and is like kind of a bit out of it and goes, yeah, okay, why not? But it's so beautiful the way it's done, because like they've been thrown into this, they don't know each other, and they both kind of go along with it for the inheritance, but the whole way through they acknowledge that they are in the same situation and no one else understands it, so they like check in with each other and form a really, really nice platonic relationship before it becomes romantic. And it's phenomenal. And then the other one, just really quickly, literally just because I'm currently reading it, is An Absolutely Remarkable Thing, which I started rereading literally last night, and I forgot how much I love this book.
So
and April
good.
May is amazing, and I'm literally only about 60 pages in.
Love it.
But
Wait, have you read it, the whole thing before?
Yes, I have. I need to reread it for the sequel though, because when I first read this, I didn't know it was a duology, and then at the end, I was like, "Excuse me, what?" So
I have read the sequel, by the way. It was good.
I really
Yes,
excited.
the
It wasn't as good as the first one, but that's another discussion.
I'll let
Sorry.
it off.
Yeah. But like, I love the first one. So yeah,
I'm
I can't
really excited
believe
to reread it.
I can't believe I thought you meant the actress. I'm like embarrassed.
No, that
I
was
was so
good.
confused. I was so confused.
But yeah, I forgot to get it off my shelf because I'm stupid, and it's like way up there. So
Cecilia's just like walking.
I would.
Yeah, you had to go get that book.
I was on the move. Okay, because I've been very bad at reading novels, and the closest, I guess, book that wasn't a manga or comic that I've read recently that had any queer representation in it was The Morrow Thieves. It had like a side character, and I didn't want to specifically, even though that book is fantastic, so you should read that book anyways. But I have a comic because that's my brand, and I don't think I've recommended this one here yet. So, but I have Motor Crush.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Sadly, it got canceled after the second volume, so it kind of wraps up, but it kind of also doesn't. It wraps up on some aspects, but not others. But if you're okay with that, I recommend it. So we pretty much follow our main character, like Domino Swift, and she is kind of like a drag racer. She does a lot of races. Wow. Okay. you get me. She does like a lot of like derby, like motorcycle races, but also like on the side she does like a lot of like illegal drag races in order to get Crush. And so like Crush is pretty much like this illegal motorcycle fuel that if you drink it you'll explode, but for her she doesn't explode. She needs it to survive and to live, or she'll get like bad seizures and probably will die. And when I started reading it, I didn't know it was gay, but like
that sound you just made, just like
It is.
Like, I didn't hear very much about it. I just saw like the photos and like the art, and I was like, wow, that's actually really pretty. And then like it's just, sorry, I just have to shut over it, but it's so pretty. There's 2 volumes, and I very much recommend it. So it's sapphic. I didn't say that, but yes.
I love that Adri just like knew everything that we were talking about.
I read so much queer stuff. I think I don't have my copy next to me, but probably the most recent queer thing I've read is the book I'm reading right now, which is Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. It actually has two POV characters who are queer, which is really, really cool. I haven't really summarized it before, so this might be a journey, but it's like this own voices indigenous epic fantasy story that's about like I think the 3 main characters. So there's one character named Serapio who is blind, and like his mom is basically trying to reincarnate him as a god. And so he needs to go travel to this ancient city of Tova. And then there is a queer badass ship captain named Shiala who is actually transporting him to Tova. And then there is a 3rd character named Narampa who is a sun priestess in Tova. And she has a queer relationship with a non-binary character who's also in the priesthood with her. So that's really cool. So it's been cool to see that. There's like use of neopronouns as well. So there's trans characters, there's 2 spirit characters, there's queer characters, there's disabled characters, obviously because Serapio is blind. So it's really cool. It's a really amazing book. I love how all the perspectives are interwoven together. and it's gonna end epically. I can tell you that right now. I'm like 9% away from the end and dreading it.
I've heard the most phenomenal things. I really want to read it.
So
I read the
good.
other one by Rebecca, the one for Rick Reiner's Present.
Oh,
to the
yeah.
Sun. Yeah, that was really
yeah.
cute, and I've been wanting to check out like all her other books, and now I'm just like, why are you telling me this? I don't have money. Stop.
I love it.
Goals, dreams.
Anyway, whilst you've been doing that, I've been going through the giveaway entries and have random number generated it as we always do, and we have a winner, and I'm going to mispronounce it, and I do apologise. Sorry, very loud fireworks where I am.
Fireworks?
That.
Why?
It's been for the last week. It's getting so annoying now. But anyway,
Why are they celebrating?
bonfire night was 2 days ago. But 2 days ago.
But that was 2 days ago.
Yeah. But anyway, the winner is, I'm going to say this wrong, Lesser Real. I don't know how do you say it. It's one of the most recent comments. It's you. We'll reach out to you on Twitter because you put your Twitter at, and we're out sending you a book. And then I guess the final thing we need to say is next month's book is, we've already announced this on Twitter and the Discord, is The Bone Shard Daughter, which is a female adult high fantasy, which everyone is raving about at the moment.
Have you read this one too?
No, I've heard of it.
Okay.
I've heard of it.
My copy's in the car, so I don't have it.
Imagine.
I'm going to try and give a synopsis for this, but I think it's going to be kind of wrong. But I basically think it's about a girl who doesn't know what her past is. She doesn't have any memories past about like 5 years back, and her dad is kind of a bit dodgy in the way he's ruling the kingdom. So she's trying to learn this kind of hidden magic so that she can take over. And there's like a revolution brewing, and she's kind of trying to work out what she's willing to sacrifice in terms of like saving her people. So very excited, and we'll be discussing this at the beginning of December in a live show. It's exciting.
So exciting.
So we will see you all then.
I thought that this live show was this book because
Yeah,
I was so confused.
You did.
I named this live show The Bone Shard Daughter, and I don't know why.
I
I
made
was
this
just like,
thumbnail and sent it. And I was just like, Sandra, no, you're
No.
on the head.
yeah. And then if someone wants to know, we're reading The Raven Tower by Anne
Yes.
Leckie or
Leckie,
Leckie,
I
who
think.
knows? For December. So yeah,
Yeah.
but that's way too
We'll
long
have
to
next
think
year's
about.
schedule soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's probably us done for today. We've run over a little bit, but
Yeah.
thank you so much, Adri, for joining us.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
for
So
having me.
much. Thank you. It was brilliant to speak with you. And
I'm just like, whoa, so many things I didn't think about. I'm just like,
yeah.
my mind blown.
I'm in it. I'm in it.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
but
That's it. So,
I feel like
We
we can
done?
talk about this like for another hour even.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we could just keep going. But yeah, I'm gonna end it now. Okay. Bye
okay.
everyone.
Bye everyone. Thank you so much.